Nicole.
Good morning. Oh. We'll call the meeting to order. It's 11:04. Today's October 21st, 2025. And we'll have roll call.
Commissioner Juan here.
Commissioner Stubbs here. We would like at this time to invite somebody to do an invocation. Do we have any volunteers to do it? Thank you, Nicole. You can come to the microphone.
Okay.
Thank you.
Our Father in heaven, we're grateful that we could come and meet with the commission today and take care of county business, and pray that those things that take place here will be done with a good spirit and benefit the entire communities that we serve. And we say these things in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Well, please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. James, you want to lead us?
Sure.
Thank you.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, this is a time to declare if we have any conflict of interest in the agenda.
No, I don't have any.
I don't have none either, so. And this is a time to turn to Mac for public comment.
Okay. For our public comments on here, I've got a couple that have signed up. James, I've got you taken care of on everything, and so the just as a reminder on our public comment period, public comments are for 3 minutes, is how much we allow each person to give a public comment, as always, and we've listed the procedures on our agenda on here. This is a time really to hear from the public themselves within that 3 minutes, not necessarily a time to deliberate and ask questions of the commissioners, although the commissioners can ask follow-up questions if they freely desire. With that, we just ask the citizens attending the meeting observe our rules for proprietary decorum and good conduct. Unauthorized remarks and similar demonstrations shall not be permitted by the chair, who may direct the removal of offenders from the meeting. With that being said, we'll go ahead and turn over the time first to those members in our audience wishing to make a public comment, and then we'll go to those individuals online wishing to do so. So I've got on here, I don't know if LCD, this might be an old one. I don't see LC around. Chester Johnson.
Yes.
Did you want to make a comment?
Yes, I'd like to make this.
Okay, if you could please come up to the microphone. And
Yes.
shows on here you're from the Montezuma Creek area.
Yes, I am from there.
If you want, give those to me and I'll pass them out to him.
Oh, okay.
And that would, it won't use your time.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
This is from my brother's state.
Okay. All right.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you for allowing me to speak. It's something that happened to our camp in McCracken Mesa is what I'm going to share with you folks. I used to come here a lot back in the 90s, but lately I hadn't been around. But always come here, and I think this is our government, so that's why that's something that concerns me. I'd like to present it to the county commissioner as well as the personnel that are here. You probably heard about it, read about it in the newspaper, September 13th. A tornado hit our campus. And in a few minutes, property home were destroyed and disappeared. A mobile home was dislocated from its foundation, and the travel trailer was crushed. And the home was completely blown away from the foundation. Barns and cattle squeezer were all damaged and just twisted, so blown away. It's a kind of a sad situation that we never had anything like that before. And the trailer that belonged to my sister was blown away also. And the house that was blown from its foundation, this is my house. And I have a picture of it, and I'd like to share it out with you. And what remained was this one, just a foundation. And that's what happened to us on the September 13th. This is our home that we built. It's where we sleep, where we pray, where we make plans, and where we do our resting and go forward with our life. But in spite of everything what happened to us, my family is still hopeful that we'll move forward with what we have left. In 1998, I lost a home too in the fire, just a little away from this house that was blown away. So it's twice it has happened to 3-bedroom, same house, same type of house. We were away at that time in Albuquerque, pursuing our education. When we came back, it was just a pile of ash. It's just something that we can't. At times, it's hard for me, but it's a beautiful home that we lost. And we're still struggling with emotion, decision, resource that we hope to get it, to rebuild. I shared this past and recent event with the hope that somehow support might come forth to recover. That's what I'd like to share.
Okay, Mr. Johnson, that's time right there. Apologize for that.
Yes.
So we would be on to our next.
Okay, maybe I'll break the rules. I have been visiting with you through emails and on the phone for the last few weeks, and so the sheriff here, he can take me. But I want to, this is such a unique situation. Mr. Johnson came all the way. He drove himself here. I don't want to divulge how old he is, but I'm so impressed how good his mind is and how I want to live, to have that kind of mind when I get to be your age. And I am one of these days, but I will get there anyway. But we'll read what you have here, and so I just want to thank you for coming before us. And I know Commissioner Harvey and myself, we are part of the NRF board, and I know there are probably some things we can do to help you. And we're trying to have a special meeting so we can pass a resolution, and I know you'll have 100% vote for the circumstances, and I cannot.
Thank you.
imagine what it's like to lose everything, you know. So people say it's just one house, but that was just one house too many. So thank you so much, and we'll
Okay.
hope that you'll get some good news soon. They're trying to set up a special meeting so we can resolve this.
Yes, I just want to share it with the county, just what
Thank you so
happened.
much.
And,
We appreciate it.
I'm under
coming
the
before
governor of the
us and-
county, state of Utah. And so that's why I came and shared it with you. My brother statement is disaster allowances is what he wants in mind
Okay.
for the community. I just want
Thank you.
to pass it on to you.
Thanks, Mr. Johnson.
I also understand it's up to also for the Navajo Nation to work with you about getting a new area to rebuild your house. So I don't know how long that would take, and I don't know if it's the chapter in charge of that, but as far as the building of the house, I think the NRF is going to be there to help you.
Yes, it'll take time, and I'm pursuing that way too. That's what I can get, and
Okay.
I think I have a pretty well
Yeah.
what needs to be done, and I got my document in place and things like that. So
Thank you.
that's what I'm doing. So thank you again for
Well,
listening
thank you
to
so
me.
much for coming before us.
Yes. By the way, I'm 79 years old.
21 years old, so that
Yeah, 20.
All right. Let's see. There's nobody else on the sign-up sheet. We do have an individual on the line. Raise your hand, Mark. Go ahead. And got 3 minutes. Just state your name and where you reside within the county, if you can, Mark.
My name is Mark Shapiro, and I live at Pack Creek Ranch. When I describe our location to friends in other states, I say our setting is rural, and in most respects it is. We are 300 private acres with 43 lots surrounded by BLM and Forest Service land. But in comparison with many of our neighbors who have testified before you and the Planning Commission in recent months, we are hardly rural at all. It appears that many families have located in remote areas of San Juan County to live lifestyles of their choosing centered around self-sufficiency. I don't believe they want to secede or ignore basic tenets of health and safety. They just want to be free of unjustified regulation. I was particularly struck by the comments of a woman several months ago pointing out the flaws in proposed zoning rules to the Planning Commission. She showed that quite a few businesses would be allowed in her zoning category, but a family would be banned from undertaking the same activities, from wood cutting to animal processing. What she said made so much sense. It's hard to believe that anyone listening to her would say, no, you have to play by different rules for the good of the county. If you look at a satellite image of northern San Juan County, it's obvious that Pack Creek Ranch is the southern end of Spanish Valley. As such, we have something in common with many of the folks who have spoken before you and the Planning Commission about rural zoning issues in recent months. We feel as if the people who should represent us are not listening to us. We're not opposed to development. We simply feel that our elected and appointed representatives should follow the county's own rules and not try to jam square pegs into round holes. I have a great deal of sympathy for my neighbors in the county who have a similar problem with county government over somewhat different zoning and development topics. I don't know their circumstances. I don't know their politics. I don't know that we would agree on a lot of national issues, but I absolutely believe these residents should be listened to. So now we come full circle back to the San Juan County Commission. You have the opportunity to become a model for the nation by showing there can be reasonable development in Spanish Valley and encouragement for self-sufficiency in rural areas. All it takes is the willingness to listen and to find common ground. Thank you for the opportunity to speak.
Thank you, Mark. Is there anybody else online wishing to make a public comment? Not seeing anybody else unmute themselves. Commissioner, that is your public comment for
Okay.
today.
Next on the agenda is the consent agenda, and Matt will go over the consent agenda.
Under your consent agenda today, you have the approval of $12,749.33 in small purchases, $5,182.57 of which for the IPW Sun Parks booth balance for visitor service. You have $2,805.36 for radiator for the road department, $495 for vent helmet for search and rescue, $1,304.40 for mileage reimbursement, and on-site event takedown for economic development. This is for that nuclear summit that she had held, as well as $2,962 for geotechnical engineering services for the facility maintenance department on the CJC property. Under item 2, you have review and approval of the September 2nd, 2025 Board of Commission work meeting minutes. Item 3, approval of the September 2nd, 2025 Board of Commission meeting minutes for review and approval. Item 4, you have the approval of the appointment of Jim Kopp to the Administrative Board of the Wilson Arch Water and Special Service District. Item 5, you have ratification of the continued interagency agreement between the San Juan County and the Utah Department of Workforce Services for homeless prevention services until 2027 for $142,917.88. This is a 3-year contract. We're in year 2. Item number 6 is approval of the letter of support for Southeastern Regional Development Agency grant request for funding for business incubator in Price. That was requested obviously by Southeastern Regional Development Agency. Item number 7 is ratification of agreement with the State of Utah Department of Transportation Division of Ergonomics for the AIP 024 U96 Cal Black Rehabilitating Taxiway A. This is for the 2024 design and the 2025 construction on this project. That, Commissioners, is your consent agenda items for today.
Thank you very much. Before we go to the next item on the agenda, we want to recognize Commissioner Harvey being in the meeting, and also ask him if you have any conflict of interest in the agenda.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I have no conflict of interest that I can see, but appreciate you recognizing me as present.
Thank you. The next item on the agenda is recognition, presentation, and information items. Huh? For that. Okay, sorry, we need to vote for the agenda.
Yeah.
We have a motion.
I make a motion to approve the consent agenda, but I do want to talk about items 1 and 5 for a minute.
Okay, we have a motion, we have a,
I'll second that motion with further discussion on items number 1 and 5 as requested by Commissioner Mon.
okay, so before we go to the vote, do we have to
Do you want me to
talk
ask
We're
talk
going to
about-
discuss those
okay.
items.
Okay.
So on item 1, we have a mileage reimbursement for the on-site event takedown, which is, hold on, let me pull that up. I think it's like sorry, I should have had this pulled up real quick. It is for,
$554.40.
no, it's for more than that. Can you pull that one for me?
Oh. Yes.
Sorry.
No, I'm looking in my binder.
One,
and
sorry,
so-
okay, it's right back here.
Is it this one that you're looking at, or on Talia's for economic
Talia's.
development?
Yes.
Okay. So
Just
this one right here.
Is that, so it's for $1,300, but we're paying, I mean, we have someone coming from Salt Lake to take that up and down. Is that our only option on that?
So this was
Because
a grant award that we had with this group, and so it was really just tracking the funds and everything through the system, and so part of that required us to reimburse the mileage on everything, and so everything on here is paid for on the revenue side of it, and this is just for the following up.
So I understand that, but we're having someone come from Salt Lake to set up and take down. Does that ever go out for bid for someone local that can do that?
500.
I mean, we're paying $1,300 for event takedown and mileage reimbursement.
We could in the future, I guess.
I mean, I don't know. I'm asking that because I can see that we have someone come from Salt Lake to, so we're, and regardless of whether it's a grant or not, it's still money we're taking.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we're hiring someone from Salt Lake to come down. I don't know.
It was
Something
the
maybe.
group that had done that, but yeah, we
So,
could,
I mean, is that something we ever can
We
put
can
out for bid or around here?
yeah, or find somebody local to do it. Absolutely.
So I don't disagree with the total. I'm just wondering the
Is there a better
person's
way?
coming
Yeah,
down.
more
Sure.
efficient. Yeah.
And then number 5, which
Okay.
is Roses.
The
Let's
homeless
see.
services. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, let me pull that. Yes. So it says that 37,000 was lost.
Mm-hmm.
Now, why? If you can just explain that to me, why?
So, when this started, we didn't have anything up at all. No website, no nothing. Which is, we were waiting to hire a part-time person to kind of help. So once she was hired, we were able to get her trained. We had to wait on the background check, which takes long for us to be able to do anything. And then once we had that up and running, we started getting applications in on April for that grant. So since it started late on being able to get that started, we ended up losing some of that grant for that year.
So timeliness.
Yes.
Okay.
That, and part of the stipulations behind the grant is we receive the total amount of award, but if the counties don't spend it, then that money goes back.
Sure.
So it's
Yeah.
not really
Yeah.
lost. It goes
Yeah.
back into the statewide homeless services. It's basically if you don't use it on homeless prevention, and we've given out as much as we could to people that qualify, and so
Yeah.
we can't just, it's not one of those types of grants where we can run down the streets throwing out money. There's for specific purposes.
Yes.
If we don't get enough people that we can assist on there, then there's always this residual amount that we will give back to the state, and so we weren't able to spend it here.
So they
this
ended
last
up,
year.
because of last year, they ended up changing that on us this year, where people would request an amount, and then and not all the counties would spend the whole amount they had requested. So this year they changed it to, if you guys don't spend the whole amount, we would just move that money back to somebody else that does need it. So that's what they agreed on. And unfortunately, some of our residents think that if they're homeless, we can help them, which we can't. We can only prevent them from getting homeless. So if they're struggling with their mortgage or rent, utilities, if they need deposits for the fee for the application, we can support and help them. Some residents think that we're able to refund them if they already did that. We cannot do that as well. So, but we do have more than 6 people we have helped since April, and we had 2 more that were just approved for this month as well. So,
Sometimes when we have grants and we don't use the money, then it looks like we didn't need it. So that was the reason. For
yeah.
that.
So this program, when I got here, was prevention disease, which was a different one. So this is a new one, and we have to work on the policies and everything. It takes some time, especially when you're by yourself and you have so many hats. So it did take me some time to finally get it going, but it's finally on our website as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I want to make a comment regarding
Yeah.
Rosa. Rosa came, like she said in the beginning, we had nothing, and she's one of the most receiving awards galore in the state of Utah. And so I want to congratulate you for
Thank
that.
you.
And it's not easy to start a program from startup, but thank you for your job. Thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioner Harvey.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I also wanted to ask some additional questions specifically on the homeless funding or the homeless housing funding. I want to understand better the structure of how we have the grant organized, if that makes sense. I know that when public health receives grants from the state, normally you have public health board reviewing the funds, and then the board in turn monitors not only policy but the spending. What is our homeless grant, the structure that's in place now? What does that look like, just for public knowledge and my knowledge?
We base it on the VIL, which is a very low income. So they have to be either under that 30%. If they are in between, depending on the situation, they might qualify. If they are over, is the same thing. It just depends on the situation. We have residents who qualify due to their situation. So it does depend, and it goes through me and my part-time person. So she reviews them and everything, and we have meetings together with the client, and then we go over it and we base it on their income. So that's what it is. That's how we base it on. And sometimes if I need a third opinion, I do go to the chief administrator, and then he communicates with me and we kind of decide, because we do have to be fair for everybody as well. And that's when we come in and we start deciding, okay, this is why this person qualifies. And sometimes I do have my part-time person that does have questions. Why does this person qualify and this one doesn't, when they have similar? So that's when I break it down to her and I tell her why. And then she gets more knowledge of, okay, I see.
Organization wise, on the organizational setting, to answer that question is,
Yeah.
we do have a local homeless coordinating committee that reviews the policies and procedures for the county, and kind of gives us that direction when we get the grant funds. We run it through the local the homeless coordinating council. We acronym short is LHCC. Commissioner Stubbs is a part of the LHCC. We meet quarterly with the LHCC, and it's comprised of members throughout the county. According to our bylaws, we have substance abuse and mental health on that board. We have the health district, the public health. We have the health district with the hospital here, and let's see who else is on that. We've got St. Haven on there. We've got Gentle Iron Hawk on that board. St. Christopher's Mission's on that board. Kind of, if you think of housing, that's the St. Christopher's Mission, Sea Haven, Gentle Iron Hawk, that we're looking to try to get them grant funding support. They're part of that board. Sometimes we have attendance from Grand County. We also participate in Grand County's homeless coordinating council. Rosa goes to those meetings when she's available. And then the domestic violence group, that nonprofit group that we've been working with, they also will attend the LHCC meeting with us.
And then the new one is the LCPC, which is also a community one where they kind of help get more information, especially for the landlords, so they can understand the programs better and see how it's for their benefit and not against it. So it's to educate them more as well. So, and I also send that information to Miss Talia because it also involves the community, so she can be involved in understanding more of it as well. So hopefully she'll be attending that.
Okay.
I was going to say something else. I forgot.
Everything on the grant awards really come through from the state's Office of Homeless Services, where we coordinate with them on making sure that we're following the proper procedures and
Yes.
policies that the state has set up, and then we mirror their policies and procedures at a local level. When you look at the state's Office of Homeless Services, they also attend our local homeless coordinating committee. They have a individual that's assigned directly to San Juan County. She's a representative of that, and we really funnel kind of the programs through that. We're about to enter into our winter response efforts, where we received a grant of $7,000, and that's similar to your question, Commissioner Mon. Sometimes we don't use the full amount of winter response just because there's not homeless individuals here that need a hotel, but when we do have them, and last year we had a single mother with children that we were able to house during those winter cold blue days. And there are specific days, specific temperatures that we utilize those funds, but oftentimes we give those funds
Yeah.
back that are
And
unused.
that one is for anybody. So if anybody's even homeless out there and there's an alert, we can shelter them for 7 days for the hotel, and even possible food if they don't have the money to be able to feed themselves for that time, which is something that we were able to do with that individual last year. And that did started on October 15 of this month and will be going on until April. I did work on some videos that I posted on each of the programs that we have to better give an understanding to our residents. My next goal is trying to get it to translate it in Native American language, because I think that would help a lot more for those individuals that don't understand our
That's
program.
great to hear. Thank you, Rosa.
You're welcome.
My question probably was not direct, but
Sorry.
I was just no. You're great. I know you're doing great job trying to handle the homeless as part of your responsibility too. I was just interested in whether there's a board that's in place, that the board is composed of good representation of our county, and that when we're spending, that the board is involved with reviewing the applicants and deciding.
So on that note, sorry to interrupt.
No.
Only individuals that did the background check are able to talk to the residents. If nobody else did it, they cannot. And that is for the HIPAA. The way that we do our system, none of the clients have names, they have numbers. Even through emails, we cannot talk about clients, nothing. So all the clients have a number. And that's one thing. So only me and my part-time person can be involved with the clients. Not Mac's not involved. I just go and talk to him about a client, but I don't mention anything that puts that client into that.
Probably to protect the family or the recipient. I can see that.
Yeah, but we
Okay.
do share the data and all that information of with our group, our board. So
Okay.
they are aware of how we're doing. They get to decide and choose on flyers and radio ads and things like that as well. So we do bring that up, and we do have that meeting every other month. We would have one coming up in November.
Excellent. Ultimately, as we're discussing this and as the public is hearing this information, I think it is valuable as we talk more about homelessness and the resources that do exist. I just wanted to inquire on the structure. It does sound like there is a board that's part of that. And then you're kind of taking the lead and being the case management piece of the program. I just wanted to look at the loss, which Commissioner Mon had some concerns about, as perhaps it's an opportunity that we can promote with better, as you said, you're making videos. If we can, it's an opportunity to promote the program countywide so that all of our local citizens are aware about this resource. And and yes, there are specific prescriptions in place to access funding. And if I remember correctly, Mac, you, me, and Talia actually got to go to a Mexico, Missouri homeless shelter. And for the shelter itself, they house people who are recovering from substance abuse. But the goal there is to also provide housing stabilization, as you've identified in the documentation we're approving. But then again, wintertime, I think, is the biggest time this housing assistance becomes valuable because people, either because of income or because they used to living out in the open, need shelter. And of course, nationally, homelessness is huge. I used to like Seattle and going there, but now there's a lot of people who need shelter and they're migrant. And so I imagine with our state, we have those folks who need shelter. So thank you for allowing us to kind of understand this funding better for our knowledge. But as we ask questions, as we're discussing, it also becomes public knowledge and it's more transparent, I think, to talk about this. So thank you for your work.
And you will hear our answers going to go again for the homeless prevention and the winter response coming up.
Very good.
November. So it'll be on the radio.
Let's keep hitting on the promotion, not to promote and waive money, but to say we have help for you if you need shelter, if you need the assistance.
Yes. So and the way we do that is putting up flyers. My homeless prevention, she can only work on homeless prevention. I'm in charge of the winter response. So that's on me. So I ended up sending a survey for everybody that's on the board, and they voted on what month and what day those should go to.
Perfect.
And so they'll be coming out on the radio soon.
And it's good you using the board to help guide you with your efforts. That's valuable. I really do compliment you on your efforts to translate both in Espanol and in Denebazad, because those are critical too. So, yeah, muchas gracias.
Anyway, I just want to add one more thing. When we work with the shelter, the Iron Heart shelter, sometimes you'll see money spent in another city, because when the clients there, it's time for them to leave, it's kind of danger for them to stay in the community. In a community, people can just drive around and find that person. So sometimes they had to probably be relocated to another place. And so from time to time, times you'll see the money being spent out of the county, and it's because of that reason. And so think again. I mean,
Yeah.
thank you.
You're welcome.
So we'll continue.
Call for the question, Commissioner Mon.
Yeah, so we have
So,
another one that you need to address.
nope, that's it, we can just approve it.
So, okay, so now we'll call to make a motion.
We
So I made
motioned
the
in
motion,
second.
so we need to approve it.
Ready to vote, Madam Chair?
Okay, so all in favor say aye.
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 Aye. So,
Okay, let me jump back up there. So we are now on to recognitions, presentations, and informational items. Item 8 is 2025 third quarter financial report for the commissioner to review.
Thank you very much. There has been a lot of discussion about the financials for the county. What you see in front of you, we have,
can you guys hear? Okay.
can you hear me? I'll pull that a little closer. We begin with the assets of the county, and probably the main question is, what are the cash reserves that the county has? And you'll notice that the very first number, general checking combined, that's largely the funds that the non-revenue departments will expend throughout the year on different programs. And you'll see it's increased a little bit, but when you look at the total cash and cash equivalent that's been bolded out from the prior year of 2024 of 13,960,000 to 11,509, and the reason that there's been a decline is if you'll go to the very next page, page 3 actually, and it'll show that. Okay, you might have. Okay, very good. Thank you, Mac. In 2024, property tax revenue had already been recorded, and for the current year, actually, we have yet to record that. So, property taxes are being collected now. The statements have gone out. Some people have come in and started the process of paying their taxes. So, by the time I present this next report in January, that revenue will be included in. So it'll increase by about $3 million, which would bring us just above what the cash that we had a year ago. So that's the good news. And most departments, as I ran through them, have had are within budgets. Revenues are down. I think largely they just haven't been recorded or received. And so I expect this last quarter to be real busy with all of the revenue coming in and to be recorded before year end. So I still think there's a lot of revenue that will be recorded. As far as departments, all departments are within the 2025 budget that was approved. If you look at the far right on, Mac, if you'll drop down a couple more pages and just pick any department, there's the Board of Commissioners, Planning Department. Board of Commissioners, some of you might ask, well, why a current year, or the original budget was 266,550, and why is it now 266,672? So in the revised budget, I was just actually working on the budget myself. So I took either, if they were below budget, I took what the budget amount was and moved it over. If they had already overspent that budget, whether for whatever reason, I moved that new number over. So it basically raised the budget by some amount, and we still will address that in our probably in December when we do our budget reconciliation for the year. But there have been some budget increases, even though most people are living with it. So as far as the revised budget, it's kind of interesting, but it's not part of what we're operating under right now. So that's good news. And then if you'll go to page 17,
I'm trying to get there.
Yeah, you're doing great. Thank you.
16, 17.
All right, we'll just go down to the very bottom. If you'll look in the last year at this point, we had $208,000 change in net position. And if you'll go to the third column from the left, we have $4,052,000 change in net position. And $3 million of that will be addressed by the recording of the property tax revenue. And other revenues will also be recorded while at the same time expenses are going on. So I expect by the time we get to year end, it'll be much closer to budget than to be over budget, because I think we're all in that range there. Then the other item that some departments, I guess that's kind of all that I have. Some departments are looking at raise EMS. I know is on the agenda. There'll be some discussion about their rates. That will help them as a department. They've kind of always been underfunded with revenues and lack of cash. So they'll have a chance to continue working on that. But So that's kind of the quarterly financials. It's a big report. Do you have any questions you want to ask me?
I did send some question to Pete. And
I saw that.
you saw that
And
anyway.
I think Peter did a wonderful job of recapping
Yeah.
kind of.
Anyway, I mean, these are lots of large numbers, and I'm probably gonna have some more questions. I was trying to see. My question is, I finished looking the number twice, and last night was 2:00 in the morning. So by the time, and this number is small in comparison to the 7 counties. We talk billions and with lots of zeros there. But my concern would be the red flags in certain departments,
Mm-hmm. Yes.
because and also, and so I will have to probably analyze more, and as we have a chance to visit with the departments and see, they probably can.
Yeah.
Instead of asking here, they can explain to us why this or why that.
Absolutely.
And so because my concern is that we have to plan with what we have now instead of thinking about what's going to come. I think we plan with what we have now, then we can have nice, pleasant surprise and start thinking that we're going to grow. And I think we're going to grow, but also it can be a slow process for the money to trickle down. I'm a little bit concerned. While I was at college, we wrote lots of grants.
Mm-hmm.
And we had lots of grants there, and grants take lots of management.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I would like to visit with the departments. We have lots of small grants, and small grants just take as much time as the bigger
They do.
grants. So I think I will wait to be able to meet with the departments and see some of the things we can
In fact,
be
that
prepared for that.
kind of raises a question. I'd like the commission to consider a time in November that we can begin our budgeting hearings, and it would probably be an afternoon, and then maybe the next day, the morning, and then we can begin to schedule each department manager so that they come in. I'm going to use KISS Flow for the reason that it allows me to communicate with each of you, and you can communicate with me. So let's say Nicole's here, she submits her budget. You'll have the ability to look at what has occurred and what Nicole would like to include in her budget for 2026 and her reasonings why. And it'll go to each of you and to Mac, and you can make the decisions, and then you'll have it in front of you. And rather than maybe the big books that we're losing track of.
Be able to understand each other departments, not everybody is the same, so it'd be nice to be able to. Anyway,
And it allows the department heads to be heard and listen to it. They look forward to this time each year where they can talk to the commission, and it allows me to kind of keep track of everything. And then at the end, the commission can approve, deny, and I'll have a kind of a breadcrumb trail through the software so I know what the commission desires to do. And yes.
So when I look at the percentage for what's been used for the year, I feel like, and you tell me if there's any real red flags, but it looks to me like everyone's pretty much on target as far as they're definitely within budget.
Yeah.
Definitely staying within their means, and we still have just 1 quarter left. So
yeah,
I understand that that's your sentiment, that we're going to come out either most of them about right there or under within the budgets. Is that correct?
Yes. It'd be nice if, always at year end, it's always good to take a look and say, if we don't need to spend it, we're not like the federal government. We don't have to spend it just to spend it.
Sure.
And some people are concerned that if they don't spend their budget this year, they'll even get less next year. And that's not true. And we'll make sure that through the commission's direction and Max, that the funding is there. The funding they might receive through grants can be moved to the next year and different things like that. So Peter left a really good accounting system that we can track grants to make sure that everybody's getting what they were originally awarded and can
Sure.
spend
So-
that way. So
Okay. One question. We show in numbers the budget was created. That we had to borrow money from our savings to make that budget.
we hope not.
So that,
Yeah.
because at this point, if we had done that to create a budget and we borrowed from the saving, then we had to take an
Yeah.
account as not being a surplus, but being
Yeah.
cut somehow. Anyway, but
And
that's
Peter's-
something that we can
Yeah.
talk about later.
Yeah,
Thank
there's
you.
$1 million that
Yeah.
was anticipated coming out of savings last year.
Yeah.
What's that, Matt?
That it's highlighted on here.
Uh-huh.
That $1 million was what was anticipated
Mhm.
coming out of savings.
Okay,
And so will we need all of that? Hopefully not.
Right.
Hopefully we can reduce that amount of money as we go through and look at everybody's spend and at the end of the day what was actually spent and what wasn't. And so it's
Right.
always hard at this point in time because like Lyman had mentioned is some of the revenues haven't come in yet, and a lot of it if we're working on reimbursables, if they're not coming in
Yeah.
from the state, they haven't been recorded yet. And so there still is revenues to be captured. Say, for example, like these homeless services funds, those are reimbursables to us, yet we budget for that expenditure up front, showing that we'll have that line item expense, but not necessarily the revenue. So there's always kind of these adjustments that take place up until December.
I'd also recommend maybe that sometime, maybe November, that Tranter get involved in some meeting with either department heads or just employees in general, so that and commission be welcome and invited is to listen to them and then also ask for ways that they can help themselves. It's a tightrope. There's no question about that.
Yeah.
And so, since such a big part of it is salaries, we all want increases. We all want benefits. So I think it'd be good to
well,
kind of crack that egg and open up into
yeah,
it.
I
So,
understand
sorry.
that question.
So one of the things when Peter did the monthly financials or does them,
Mhm.
he does put that percentage to the side. Could we add that to this standard financial report? Is that too difficult?
What are you meaning?
So he'll show the percentage of what has been spent, of what has been
Oh,
used.
okay.
And so he does that on the monthly financials, but I'm
Right.
wondering if we can also, so when it comes time for, when we come time for the budget, it's not on this, but when it
Okay.
comes time for the budget, that we can see, then those department heads can see their percentage of what they have expended.
Yeah.
So that's on that monthly financial report.
Yeah, I can work on that.
So if we had that as that other column,
Okay.
thank you.
Thank you. Along with what you said, you know, as a county, I think we would like to give everybody a raise.
Sure.
Everybody deserves to make a good living. Fortunately, we have a shrinking, the population shrinking. People they have moved in the 70s, they're retiring. They either have left to go to a better place or they're leaving because families, and so that little we're losing population, and so and the way formulas work with taxes is dependent on the population. So we you know, and that is my thing. You know, I know people in McDonald's probably make more money than sometimes we pay some of the people, but that's a reality. So, but I agree, we had to, if we work together as a team, we can make things work. So
Exactly.
thank you for that.
Okay. Thank you.
Do we need to take any action? No action on this one?
No.
This is
Okay.
discussion and presentation. Okay, your next item on the agenda is the Judicial Nomination Commission for San Juan County, just as a correction on the staff report, it mentions the county needs 2 people who can review the applications. We actually have 3 representatives that we need to represent the county in this. So the process is the state, and we have Jim Peters here as well, behind the scenes. That's who both Kate and I have been working with. The state received all of the applications for Judge Hazelton's position. So the state is the collector of that, and they're the ones that also vet them to make sure that they're, within this region, as well as, Utah State Bar certified, that they're in current and good standing. And then from that, it goes to this nomination committee to review those resumes and applications. And then from there, after the review is done, then it comes to the commission for final selection of who that nominating committee is nominating. And so there's 2 other steps in this process before we can formalize that position. Like I mentioned, that we're looking today for 3 individuals who can represent the county. It can be a county commissioner on that representation. Obviously, you do have to avoid the fact that this would be a decision that you have to make later, so you would not be able to have 2 county commissioners on there. But it's kind of opened up to you to see who you'd like to recommend. The city, like I mentioned in the staff report, we do have Craig Halls. He represents the Utah State Bar. So in previous times, as they formed this nominating committee, they're allowed to stay within this committee for 4 years, right, Jim? So yeah, so these individuals have been on in the past. Because of that, they still have
Lunchtime.
time. Yeah, they still have time on their tenure before we have to replace those. But Craig Hall's with the bar, and then you have Rebecca Benali, who is out of the mayor's recommendation from Blanding City when they did theirs a couple of years ago. And so those 2 are kind of automatic. And then Monticello City recommended Mayor Hedgeland, as well as Kate and the city manager, to represent the 2 from Monticello City.
Anybody have any?
And we do have Jim here if you have hard questions.
So,
Commissioner Stubb, it might be good to just let Jim explain the process and his
Okay.
experience.
Do you want to come take time to explain?
Thank you so much. Jim Peters, I'm the Justice Court Administrator with the Administrative Office of the Courts. I oversee all the justice courts in the state. And as Mac explained very well, Judge Hazelton's tenure is coming up. He's decided after 30 years that he's going to retire. And so it might be helpful to talk through any questions that you have about the process. His appointment to the bench predates all of us, I'm sure. So this is probably very new to everyone. But as Mac indicated, the position was opened up. It was anticipated at the time that the county and Monticello would be combining justice courts. And if that's the case, then the commission will look one way. If you ultimately decide not to combine with Monticello, then I'll have 2 separate commissions running, one for the county vacancy and one for the city vacancy. So the applications have been received on that basis, and now is the time to put together the nominating commission that will basically serve as a resource to you as a commission, because you're ultimately going to make the final appointment. But this nominating commission will be vetting the applications, interviewing the candidates, and learning a lot about them that you can then ask about as you deliberate and consult as to who the next judge for San Juan County and possibly Monticello should be. So it's all statutory, the way the nominating commission's comprised, and it's pretty tricky. There's typically 5 people on a nominating commission, and 4 or 3 of those are appointed countywide for a 4-year term. And that's why some of those who were used for Blanding are already in place for these vacancies here. And as Mac indicated, that includes Craig Halls and Rebecca Benali. Brittany Ivins served as the county's appointment back then. She's not available this time. So that's one position that needs to be filled, and that's a 4-year term. And that position cannot be filled by an elected official or the appointing authority. So there's one way to fill that, and then there's 2 other positions on the nominating commission that are provided by the jurisdiction that will be served by the judge. And that's why Monticello has already appointed 2 people. And we need 2 more from this commission in order to create a nominating commission that's 7 people. If that's the one that ends up filling the vacancy for the county and the city combined. Like I say, if you don't go forward with the interlocal agreement, then I ultimately would need to run 2 different nominating commissions. That Craig Halls would serve on both of those, Rebecca Manali would serve on both of those, and then that vacant position would serve on both of those. The other 2 that you appoint would just serve for the county, and then the mayor and Caden would just serve for the Monticello position. Once the nominating commission's in place, I'll do my best to try to get those 5 or 7 people to be able to meet at the same time. That's the hardest part of the whole process. We can do it with just a quorum, and in the interest of time, we may end up wanting to do that because Judge Hazelton finishes at the end of December, and we want to minimize the gap between his retirement and his replacement taking the bench. So there's a lot of moving parts, and the nominating commission piece depends on what you ultimately decide to do with the interlocal and combining with Monticello, but I understand that that one has a lot to do with the other. So I'm just here to answer any questions you might have about that. Well, and let me say, once the nominating commission has reviewed the applications and interviewed candidates, their task is to narrow the list of applications down to 3 to 5 people that they'll then forward on to you. And before they do that, the names will go out for public comment. People will have an opportunity to endorse candidates or provide information that people didn't know that might be critical in choosing them or not choosing them. If we get negative comments, then it extends the process a little bit because we go back to the candidate and say, here's a comment that came in on you, please respond. And then both the comment and the response go back to the nominating commission so they can decide whether they want to advance that name onto you. But once the comment period is over, then everything comes your way. All the information that we've collected, and it's your opportunity then to choose a judge that will maybe stay on the bench for another 30 years. So what questions can I answer about any of that?
Commissioner Harvick has a question.
So you're saying that ultimately they decide to do away with the Monticello City Justice Court, then Monticello City would lose 2 positions on the nominating commission, is that right?
Well, what's being proposed right now isn't, and it's a technical distinction, but you can either dissolve a justice court or it can kind of go dormant, and they'd be contracting with the county to run its justice court. So in that event, the city would still have those 2 representatives on the nominating commission. They've opted to not dissolve the court. So either way.
Well, I don't think that decision has been made yet. I think Monticello City may have made that decision.
Right. Yeah. So if Monticello has decided to not dissolve, then they've got 2 options. Either they'll interlocal with the county, and I understand that hasn't been decided, or they continue on with their own court. Either way, those 2 people that they've appointed will have a say in who serves Monticello as the next judge. And that person may or may not have jurisdiction over the entire county. It just depends on that interlocal. Does that make sense? Okay.
Commissioner Harvick, do you have a comment?
I do. Thank you. Thank you very much for the information, Mr. Peters. First question is, do you know who the chair of the Criminal Justice Coordinating Council for the county is?
I do not.
Hello.
Is it you?
It's me.
All right.
I've had in my monthly meetings so far, I believe, 8 or 9 meetings. And the committee has always been interested in the court system in our county and accessing data. So now that we know each other, what's the role that criminal justice coordinating councils have in this very situation for appointment of a peace or a judge, a justice of the peace?
In terms of data or just your involvement in general?
Yes, the committee, the council.
Okay.
Criminal Justice Coordinating Committee. What would be, or is there any role in this?
There is no role by statute, but I think you raise a really good point, and that is that if someone from the coordinating council were appointed to be on the nominating commission, that would be a really good idea.
Okay.
In terms of data, the coordinating councils are new enough. I'd have to look to Salt Lake County because with their CJAC, they've kind of been at it a little while longer. And I know that we have data sharing agreements with them. I'm not directly involved with those, but I could certainly look into it and see what data the coordinating council down here is interested in and what we can provide and how we could do it. But that I do think that's really great in terms of the 3 positions that you'd have to fill, 2 just for this particular vacancy, and the third one for anything that opens up in the next 4 years, like Craig and Rebecca are serving in right now. Someone from the coordinating council would be a great idea. Someone from the commission would be a great idea. Someone from the Justice Court, Kelly Tracy, for example, would be a great idea. It's always critical for people to have the perspective from the outside looking in, but it's also helpful to have it from the inside looking out. That the clerk's office has a really good sense for what it takes for a judge to be successful. So that's a handful of ideas as you go about maybe deciding who could fill those 3 slots that we have.
Well, Mr. Peters, if you're willing to work with our Criminal Justice Coordinating Council, there will be a meeting in approximately 3 days. And you don't have to drive all the way back down from the big city to join us because we have WebEx. Is it WebEx, Mike?
We have Google Meet.
And so we do have the video option. And our committee, our council is also intermixed with some representatives from the tribe. We've been working. Our last meeting was with the Anna Judicial District Court with Judge Irene Black. And I want to keep this as a positive note. I think we'd love to meet you as a committee because we have a lot of questions about the layers of our justice system. And perhaps you are the one to guide us in being able to comprehend the judicial system in our county and how we might involve the future justice of the peace in our meetings, or maybe allow him to appoint a delegate. Mm-hmm. Because I think that we're working on building that committee. And last action was we opened up some seats to the Navajo tribe because we do share jurisdiction in San Juan County with Navajo Nation. And hopefully we're able to coordinate with White Mesa tribe to have a representative, because when we're talking about countywide, that is countywide, Navajo, Ute, and of course here in the cities. Mm-hmm. So I'd like to invite you, if you have the time.
Is it a Friday meeting?
It is a Friday meeting, and hopefully
probably have a conflict this Friday.
I'm willing to reschedule so that we can work with your availability and have that meeting with you.
Yeah, I'd be happy to attend. In terms of appointing as someone to the nominating commission, I think procedurally, and I'll leave that all to you, you're the experts. I think the commission would have to opt to fill one of those slots with someone from the coordinating council. I mean, ultimately, those 3 slots are for the 3 of you to fill. If you wanted one of them to come from the coordinating council, you certainly could do that. And again, if one of them were you, we could make sure we got you in one of the non-elected official slots. And if one of them were from the Justice Court, then you'd be at your 3. But I don't know if they can make that decision today, where this was noticed up as an informational item, or how that works either. But again, however I can help.
Yeah, it's not necessarily a legislative act. And so we just need the names of who.
Commissioner Mark has a comment.
So a couple things. Can we? I see that Craig Halls, even though he is part of the county attorney's office, but he's actually a representation of Blanding City, correct?
Well, he's filling the slot that goes to the
Bar.
Bar Association.
So would we?
He
not-
happened to serve on the nominating commission that worked with Blanding, but he's still in place for other vacancies that
So
come
would we
along.
not have someone from our county attorney's office to serve on that? Or is that a conflict of interest, or is that?
You could, but you've already got Craig, so I mean you're covered
Okay.
that way.
And then if we were to nominate Commissioner Harvey as, I guess, because you're kind of filling 2 hats. But
It would work for
we still could make that work as well, correct?
Yes.
and that
Okay.
would be for the CJCC as well.
Yes, and then my other comment would be, when people make comments about who's up for nomination, do they publicly make them? Or
No,
is it
they're
via
submitted to
email?
me by email, and
Just
yeah.
want to clarify that. So, okay. So, I mean, I guess my other question would be is, if we had Commissioner Harvey over the CJC, is there anything wrong with having a couple off of that committee? Off that yours is the CJC, right? Committee? I mean, because how many is on your board or your committee?
Well, we've got about maybe, best guess, Mac, about 8 people on there.
Yeah, just various different organizations and departments within the county.
And I wouldn't even know. I mean, you would know that better than I would. But
Right, and I would fall heavily on our attorney to be at our meeting to also help guide our committee in making sure we're taking the right actions. I think for me personally, enlightening the committee members with, of course, our attorney and having that discussion so we're all well familiar with the process would be helpful. I don't know what your timelines are, though. I mean, I could be delaying this, and
well, we're kind of getting close. Like I say, that the biggest challenge is getting these 7 names, trying to coordinate a date and time that works for everybody to get together. Interviewing the candidates, having that 10-day comment period, and then giving you all enough time to make your decision before Judge Hazelton leaves the bench at the end of December. And with the holidays in there, I probably should have been down here 2 months ago having this conversation with you, honestly. So probably the sooner the better. If there does end up being a gap between Judge Hazelton's retirement and the new judge taking the bench, we have ways of covering that, but they're pretty limited. It'd have to be the judge from Blanding or the judge from Grand County. Even the one from Price could help remotely. But they've all got their calendars and their schedules as well. So we want to minimize the gap to the extent possible.
That's the feeling I got from the Monticello City. They want us to proceed so we don't approach the too slow because we need to move. So they said move ahead, and then we'll regroup and decide what we're gonna do together. And I got that sense of urgency. We need to have it. So
Yeah, if the decision on the, and again, not my timeline, it's yours, but if the decision on the interlocal could be made even as early as the next commission meeting, that would be very helpful.
yeah,
And then I'll know whether I'm pulling one group together or separating them into two.
So could we even just submit names to you as the chair, and then we could have that discussion at our next commission meeting? How do you want to do that? How would that work?
I mean, submit name today, you mean?
To you. Like Commissioner Harvey and I would submit the
Oh,
names
yeah.
via email to you, and then we'd have
Yeah.
all our names.
And
to
I
kind
think
of
that's
talk
what
about next.
the purpose trying to have this in place so we can move faster. So we can do that.
So we'd
Sounds
have it
good.
by next commission meeting, our
Yeah.
nominees?
Yeah,
That
Okay.
sounds good.
gives me the time frame I need.
That'd be great.
Okay.
As well.
Thank you.
And I have a conflict that day as well too, but I'll tune in if I can make it work and
Okay.
get it straight from you all, and then start contacting people with dates
Okay.
and times.
So is that something, the names we discuss like in an executive session, because it is about them personally? Probably. I would assume so. Okay.
Okay.
That works for me.
Okay.
You all right with that?
You
Okay.
can do it in an executive session, but you can do it in just open meeting as well.
Yeah, unless you're
Unless we're discussing like, okay, what do you know about that? You know,
behavior,
I mean,
competency.
yeah,
things
because I
like
mean,
that.
I would think we'd have to explore all that regarding, because I might have a different experience on the names than they have had, or someone else has had. So
Yeah.
we all have a different insight on that.
Well, and where the interlocal can't be decided until the next meeting, it's okay if we don't have the nominating commissioners by then either. But yeah, if we could shoot for November 4th, and then we're off to the races with dates and times and
Okay.
schedules, then I think there's still a chance that we can have someone in place for you by the end of December.
And it's 3 people we need to for that committee. Okay.
Yeah, again, so one of them is a 4-year term.
Oh.
And that person cannot be an elected official. That's the one where I'm recommending the court clerk, but again, totally up to all of you. And then the other 2 can be elected officials, and they're serving for just this appointment.
Okay.
So say if Blanding were to open
Oh.
up again, they wouldn't be involved in that.
Okay.
Whereas that other slot would, like Craig and Rebecca.
Okay, that's helpful.
Thank you.
Okay.
I'll keep in touch with you. I'd love to have you at our Criminal Justice Coordinating Council. I might have my card with me.
Yeah, and I brought the wrong binder. I'd have one for you, but
Cool.
I
All right.
we'll call it even.
Let's do it.
Thank you.
Okay.
you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jim.
Thank you.
That's number 10.
Thanks, see ya.
Okay, the next item on your agenda is item 10 is discussion regarding standby event fee schedule. In addition to other fees that are out of date and need to be adjusted.
Bye-bye.
This is for the emergency medical services. We've got Jeremy here to give you this presentation.
This is in reference to that standby contract that we submitted, and we found out later that the fees were out of not up to date. They didn't match with what I didn't realize was on the county's consolidated fee schedule. So I guess from what I understand, we just need to make a decision if we want to adjust those fees. And what process we need to go through for that. I believe there has to be a public hearing on that. Just in reference to those, and I apologize, I thought it was coming as a work meeting, so I was going to make some copies. So I only have the one that I've scribbled on. But for example, like all of our EMS, our ambulance ground rates are completely out of date. So when I talked to Mac a little bit, and I don't know you guys' thoughts on it, but those ones specifically, what I was hoping is that maybe we could just reference the state's administrative rule in regards to ambulance rates that changes, because those can change every year. So instead of them changing them on their end and then us having to bring them back to you and have them changed every year and have a public hearing and all that, which seems quite time consuming for everyone. My thought was, and I can put this back in a proposal, but that we would just reference, the administrative EMS rule regarding rates, so that anybody who had questions about that could certainly be, we could have a link right on there to be able to go there. There were some other ones with the standbys that were different than what we had proposed. And then, of course, our CPR rates are significantly different than what we've been charging, because they keep charging us more and more for the cards. So I think that was the bulk of the question, is if we wanted to move forward, and if the administrative reference might be sufficient in regard to those state rates.
Well, any question or comments?
I'm seeing heads nod on
That's
that
what I'm
side
seeing.
of it. So yeah, because
Okay.
that, I think, and that's where I think we got off kilter, is when we adopted the fee schedule. If the state had a different rate, and then you go through legislative session and they change the rates on us, automatically we're going to be off. That was one of those sections that I do like that recommendation. Let's just reference code. Whenever they change, that means we don't have to go through a public hearing and the notices and everything. Just make it simpler on us as staff by doing that and just pointing people that direction to the state. So.
Thank you.
Yeah, just so a point of reference on ambulance rates, to Lyman's point about us, changing the rate. As much as EMS would love to be a profitable entity related to those rates, I'm sure, I don't know if you all know this. If you do, sorry. If you don't, those rates are set by the state of Utah every year based on our financial reporting requirements that we have to submit to them. If, for instance, all of the agencies in Utah were profitable, they would actually lower the rate. It makes no sense, but it's just the world we live in. So it's admittedly contradictory to trying to make money in this field. So, and as we all know, we're only collecting about 30 to 40% of those bills that we submit to insurance, and even less through our government payers. As a point of reference, though, too, we have noticed an increase in some of those billings with the changes we made to our practices. So those numbers have went up, even if it's just a percentage or two this year. So there is that to consider, but as far as those rates ever making us or being able to work in a black area, that it just will never work, because if everybody in Utah did that, like I said, they would just keep lowering the rate till they get to a place where we can only be so profitable. So, do you have any questions other than that? What process do I need to do anything to make that other thing happen?
Have this discussion for you, get a nod of a head before we actually opened the ordinance and kind of went down that path of public hearings and everything else. We've got to be kind of specific of what we're changing.
I can get
you next month. We can go ahead and tee it up.
Well, I will get all the changes made on a document and submit them, and then we can figure out however process you need to do.
I think the only other one that we discovered after the fact was on some of our medical items we're charging for. So when our billing agent creates the bill, if those rates are missed and different, we've seen kind of a discrepancy there that we'll have to try to figure out how to capture those within that ordinance as well.
Part of that might be addressed with the fact that Medicare, Medicaid quit paying for disposable supplies, and they raised and that's where we have seen addition. And actually, we've seen an addition in our revenue collections when they did that, because when Medicare, Medicaid decided to change that ruling and they don't pay for any of our disposable supplies, a lot of the other insurance companies have also done that. So there's a bill in the legislature, I can't remember the number, 215 rings a bell, but they're going to address that one again at this session that's coming up in March, to deal with recognizing the rate that ambulances charge and insurance companies paying those rates. There's a lot of argument back and forth between insurance companies and our government payers is, well, why do you accept this from our government payers, but so why should we have to pay at this higher rate? Or they don't pay for disposable supplies, so why should we have to pay for disposable supplies? So we've actually seen our private insurance payers not paying for disposable supplies as well, but increasing that rate. There's a percentage, I can't remember it off the top of my head, that they increase that so that they would recognize those rates and then pay us that higher rate. So.
If you have the number of the bill, just text us, because as we go to the UAC meetings, that's what we do. We get together in a room, we start designing. First, I had the subcommittees where we line up those bills and decide which we're going to support, and all the counties talk together. So it's nice
I will do that.
It's
Yep.
nice to have things that we can work
Yep.
when we are there. And anyway, so
Yeah, I think I put it in an email, but I will pull that back up and look. I can't remember if I
Okay.
put that one specifically,
Anyway,
but
thank
to you
you.
guys as an update.
So I can't think his name, but he's the person in charge of the state. He was a former commissioner. I saw him and he said, how things are going with the MS program. And I said, that was one of the hardest choice we had. Any change is hard. Organization has spent lots of money trying to promote changes.
Yep.
But I say how good we are doing. I mean, I think that we just need to somehow let the public know the things that are happening, and it's up to us to maybe make these comments as some people are listening, because you guys are doing really good.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Yep.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, Jeremy.
Okay, now we've
Okay.
gone to business action.
Yes, item number 11, consideration and approval of projected revenue allocations for the sheriff's office. You have Sheriff Lacey here today to present this one.
Good afternoon, commissioners.
Hello.
Like I discussed with you guys all individually prior to this, so we should all know what we're asking. The daily incarceration rate for the state inmates that we house in our jail goes up every year, and through those increased daily incarceration rates, I'm asking that we put that back into the sheriff's some of those funds back into the sheriff's office to getting our guys back on their steps and lanes where they're supposed to be. Not do anything proactive, just from now until, and then next June we'll get the new daily incarceration rates, and we'll kind of go through the same process and try to stay on those steps that were approved 2 years ago by commission. So,
Do you have any comments, Commissioner Hart?
I do not, Tom. I think this is something in the sheriff's realm. He knows the revenue stream, and he knows the volume in his jail, and I have no questions.
Commissioner Mond, you have? I would just have one comment. Seems like we are almost to the time where we're going to be reviewing budgets. And I think that maybe a perfect time to go over that as we do the budget. And so, but that's, my stand about it. And so it's just only Lyman explained to us how we're going to be
Right.
doing, and I think that would be a good time to do it. But
So-
that's my stand, and I'm not trying to deny anything.
Right.
Just basically, it kind of give us, at least for me, give me the opportunity to see where the budget's going. And if it was waiting a year, then I would say, let's do it.
Right.
But we are so close to the process, and I think then we can see, how because we have other departments that they
Right.
probably can have the same idea and start coming to us and doing things, and so it's just basically trying to work together so that we don't have so and so is doing this and this,
Right.
and everybody gets an idea and they start knocking on our door. Where we are so close to the time to review the budget, that would be my
So
suggestion.
the daily incarceration rate comes in July instead of January, like our budgets. And that's when we kind of started this process, when I started communicating with you guys that, and so instead of doing our budgets, we'll just anticipate the daily incarceration rate for July of next year for the next go around. Because that's when they do their study and find out how much it costs an inmate at the state prison to be housed, and then they do the percentage for what we house here. And so that would come in July, not in January, like our regular budgets, like we do our budget here. So that's why it started in July, that we kind of started this ball rolling. Those new rates come in effect in July and not January.
And I understand all of that. My thing is right now, and I mentioned how earlier today how our population is decreasing. It's better for us to adjust than have to say we have to let go of people. I think that would be really hard to do that. So it'd be nice for, at least for me, to be able to understand all the angles, because I don't want to have to go tell people we don't have the money for your position or whatever. It's better to, anyway, I just coming from that point, and not only thinking about your department, but also the other department. Commissioner Harvick has a question or comment?
Or
I don't know.
just question, Sheriff, so that you can help us better understand where you're coming from with this request. The funding source is the what is that? Your revenue from the inmates, the incarceration rates, right?
Correct.
And that by statute is specific to your kind of like your law enforcement. They're specifically there. They're not given to the county and spread in the county budget. They're for your operations specifically.
Yes.
And I know you're trying to articulate that state funds, because for us as county, our fiscal year begins January, ends December. You're referring to the state drawdown, the state budgets, because the state fiscal year is actually July 1st through June 30th. And so you're looking at amending it would be your 2026 budget, wouldn't it be?
So it'd be just from now until the end of the year, and then to the 2026 fiscal year, but would have to figure out the daily incarceration rate. So in June, when we start getting the daily incarceration rates on that studies, then we can say, right, we can use this daily incarceration rate funding to get us on the steps and lanes every year, instead of worrying about where that money's coming from. It's going to happen every year, and it goes up every year because prices of food and the state always, they have their steps and lanes. Their employment goes up, and so their wages go up. So that's where I'm coming. I think we can get on our steps in July, instead of trying to do it in January, so we know where that money's coming from every year.
So there's no request, and so this fund will last till next July. You're not gonna request more.
Yes, and so at that point we'll look and see how much the incarceration rate goes up, and then we'll figure out what lanes we can get to
For the new year.
for that next
This cycle.
Yeah, so starting in January or July of next year, we'll bump up the steps in July instead of January, like we wanted in our first
Did you
process.
have a date when you project for the work to be done of the?
When they get the incarceration rates for the next year, they usually get us to it.
I mean, when it's going to be finished or completed, so they will have more income or whatever.
building.
The building.
Oh, the building.
building.
I don't have a clue on that,
Okay.
and that's not included in what I'm talking about because
Yeah.
that's going to change everything.
You're
We're going to
just
have to
talking
get,
about current.
the current.
Yeah.
We're going to have to get. We're going to get more inmates, and so that price is going to go up too, and so that's going to be that
The loan
bond.
payment in here as well.
No, not on this part because that's going to be that part of that's going to be part of that. The new inmates that we're going to be housing, the additional inmates that we're housing to pay that loan part. Yes. So the additional part has nothing to do with what we're asking for today. Everything else would be
So
by
in the
then.
process, you only included us three in the process of this,
Correct.
and not Matt, just us.
Just you, just the commissioners, correct.
Okay.
I sent the information to Mac. Yes.
Okay, so, yeah, because, we depend on him to
Right.
help us make decisions too, so, to be informed.
Mhm.
And I think, thank you, so,
Madam Chair, I have a lot of respect for Sheriff and his deputies. They work very hard. In fact, for my community down south, as Mr. Johnson said, he was at Anna Chapter really commending the Sheriff's Office for coming to him, Highway Patrol too. And we need you guys out there. I'm supportive of this request, is what I'm saying. So I'd like to motion to approve. This is the sheriff's budget. He knows exactly how he's going to utilize this to strengthen his department. And I have confidence in the way he's trying to work his department and retain his staff. That is your effort, I know. So I respect that, Madam Chair. That's my motion.
okay,
I have a question on there,
okay,
just procedure-wise, if I may, Chair.
We probably need to close the motion out.
Well,
before we-
well,
even just with that, just understanding, so in order to make a budget adjustment, you do have to have a public hearing. So are you asking, you had mentioned in the payment side of it, so the pay increase to the deputies would be effective now?
Correct.
Okay, so we have to have a public hearing for that change. Anytime with personnel nowadays, it's a separate approval that we have to have with the public hearing on the budget. And so you can approve in concept and then we can tee it up for a public hearing, but any budget changes do have to go through that process. And so that's why I wanted to at least get that clarity
Yeah.
with the motion.
and that's a reason, when we work together as a team, we can come over here with clarifying where things are, and I don't know what chances.
Is this really a budget adjustment, or is it just saying that
You're paying them
this
more
this stream that's coming in, you're just
in
deciding?
July.
Oh, it started in July. Yes, it started
So-
in July.
So the payments don't come in until July.
July of this next year.
No,
Yes.
no. So I used
You're talking about
I used
funds that are already there.
I used for the funds that are already existing. So I pulled April's, May's, March's, and June's state inmate payments that we got, and then I got July's and August's, and I found out what the difference was, and we're about anywhere between 195,000 to 210,000 more increase throughout the whole year.
Probably better just to be safe than to do it as if it were a normal budget adjustment where you have the hearing.
Right.
I mean, there's nothing wrong with that.
Mhm.
But you can decide today to go forward with that. In other words,
So,
Okay.
saying
so are we in agreement then that we need to just,
Well, I'm gonna second Commissioner Harvey's motion
to what? So what we,
to approve this, but we will have to go through with the public hearing.
and they go through with the public hearing?
Right.
Okay,
And that's with respect to our administrator's recommendations that this should be
okay.
public hearing.
And
But
Anyway.
Sheriff,
Okay.
there you are.
Perfect.
So do we have do we do a
Two motions.
motion?
I-
Did you
I
second it?
motion.
So all in favor say aye.
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 Okay. And the second thing didn't get put on there, the request for the evidence and records tech. It wasn't on the agenda, so
I just wanna
Doesn't that just go through HR though? And then
You have to have a.
That one, we have to do a position. We have to
Okay.
ask for a new position for that
Okay.
one. We're so far behind. So, anyways,
Yeah, I have something I need to.
okay.
I need to visit with you. Me and Lyman had a visit about this, the records. I'll come and talk to you about
okay,
that.
perfect.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you so
Sheriff.
much. And I do support them too.
Okay.
You know,
Very good.
it's just
Okay. Librarian's
okay.
gonna come.
Who we have next?
All right. So item number 12, consideration and approval of the children and teen book grant between the state of Utah and San Juan County. You have our library director Nicole here presenting today.
Hello.
Wow.
Hello. This is just a small children and teen book enhancement grant that we get through the state of it's managed through the state library. It's actually a federal grant. It's just small. It's $2,000, and this would just be money that would be spent on top of what we're already budgeted. So it wouldn't displace any funds that we're already in line to spend, but it would be on top of that. And it is a reimbursement grant, so we would pay for the books up front, and then we'd follow all the rules and send in the receipts and showing that we followed their guidelines, and then they'd reimburse us, which has never been a problem in the past. We've had this grant before.
Well, I support you guys with everything you do. I mean, they're so you stretch things so well, and so we appreciate that. Any comments or questions?
No questions from me, but if it's okay, if I'm in order, I'll go ahead and motion to approve.
Okay.
I will second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Thank you.
Thank you.
Good job, Nicole.
Thank you to your staff. I was there writing a grant and I interrupted the whole program. It was quiet, and all of a sudden, on Friday afternoon, everybody was checking video games. It was,
Oh, they
It
had.
was
Did
so-
they have? They had
yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, thank you.
something going on. All right.
We'll
Thank
see
you.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay,
Okay,
next item on our agenda is item 13, consideration and approval of letter of comment to BLM's Labyrinth Gemini Bridges Travel Management Plan Reassessment. We have Nick here today to give this presentation on public lands.
Good afternoon. Well, BLM is reassessing the 2023 Labyrinth Canyon Gemini Bridges Travel Management Plan. And they're now accepting public comments on certain of the roads that were closed in that plan. Now, this travel planning area includes a narrow strip of northern San Juan County. It's about a mile, a little more than a mile to half a mile wide between the northern county boundary and the boundary of Canyonlands National Park. So in that area, there are 4 roads of concern that originate in Grand County but end in San Juan County, basically on the rim, north rim of Taylor Canyon. And these roads are on our travel plan. They've been recognized as such, and they provide access to scenic overlooks of Taylor Canyon and the Canyonlands National Park, the Island in the Sky District. Some nice viewpoints that these closed roads provide. What was I going to say there? And they also provide access to dispersed camping, which is allowed along these roads. So the county comment letter that you have before you basically asks BLM to reconsider and now open those 2 roads that provide the access points for the overlooks, and would be consistent with our travel management plan.
Any comments?
So I know we're asking them because we didn't realize this, but what are our chances?
I'll say again.
What are our chances? I mean, do you think they're
Well,
gonna?
I think they're good. 'Cause
Good.
Me too.
For one
Listen.
reason, why did BLM reopen
Sure.
this comment
That's the
period?
bigger
So I think that tells us something.
Okay.
So I think we've got a chance here.
Good. And
I
hopefully
think I think there's some
We are in good
political
place. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
things in the work, of course.
sure.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
And we had
Thank
this,
you.
we got a chance to listen to the Secretary of Interior when we were in Cedar. And I think lots of good things gonna be happening with the public lands and things like that.
Okay.
So anyway, are we ready for a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
All in favor say aye.
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 Thank you.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Nick. Appreciate that one. All right. The next one on here is consideration and approval of memorandum of agreement referencing historic properties potentially affected by proposed Lisbon Valley Mine plan of operations modification. This one is also with Nick.
Okay. And along this line, maybe you've seen that the record of decision was approved by BLM for this proposed mining modification. That was on October 15th. So this memorandum it's an agreement, basically is referenced to or founded in Section 106 of the National Historic Preservation Act for the treatment of any cultural or historic resources that may be affected by mining operations. So this plan, memorandum of agreement, has now been finalized, and it's been done in consultation with the Utah State Historic Preservation Office, the interested tribes, and consulting parties, of which San Juan County was one. And as I said, it was developed to resolve adverse effects to any historic properties that could potentially be adversely affected by mining operations. And the MOA, Memorandum of Agreement, as it currently exists, contains a plan of action for the treatment of inadvertently discovered human remains. And following the record of decision, which now has occurred, a treatment plan as directed in the Memorandum of Agreement to include measures to avoid, minimize, and mitigate any adverse effects to historical properties will be developed by the mining company in coordination with BLM, the tribes, and the consulting parties. So there's another part of it that's still to be developed, but this is the base framework that directs that future plan now will be developed. And although San Juan County and others are not, signatory, I can't remember the term, to the agreement, we are or can be signatories as a concurring party. And other concurring parties who have already signed this agreement include the State Historic Preservation Office, SITLA, Public Lands Policy Coordinating Office. And this came out kind of between commission meetings, and we weren't able to meet their deadline, which was last week, to have this signed. But I've been told if San Juan County chooses to sign, they'll still enter our signatory page in this agreement. So basically, that's what is before you, is to consider whether San Juan County should sign as a concurring party. And there's no commitment to it. It just shows we concur.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's not the wrong term.
Support,
we concur with it, we support it, but we're not tied with any monetary contributions or anything else with it.
Well, have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve.
I will second with the comment. Madam Chair, my comment is just the pieces in regards to working with the tribes, highlighting tribal consultation and coordination. That's a huge piece to this work that I commend, and I'm grateful that all parties are very thoughtful in considering tribes and allowing them to be part of the process. So that's for me, for my community, I know they would be grateful with that. But that's just my comment.
Okay. Thank you, and I think Mac is making the changes as we're going.
No, they're in here.
Oh, they already have
It's
it.
got
Okay.
the tribal the Antiquities Act that's named in here, that they've got to do the grave protection and reparation. They're following that. as well as they've got measures to resolve, and then the treatment plan that if they do discover something,
Okay.
that they have it already worked out, kind of like Nick had mentioned.
Yes.
The agreement already anticipates that.
He
Okay.
was just trigger happy with the mouse.
Sorry, I was just highlighting your comments. My guess is right here, it's right here.
You're trying to help us find it, huh?
Yep.
Yep.
Anyway,
Yep.
so do we have a motion?
We
Motion and second.
second.
Motion is second,
Ready
and
to vote, Madam Chair?
all in favor say aye.
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 Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Nick.
Thank you so much for all you do for us. Thank you.
Okay, the next one, in consideration approval of a standard service contract between AJC Architects in San Juan County for the Children's Justice Center architectural design. We have Sam here, Director of Facilities, to present this one here today.
Good
Hello,
afternoon.
How are you?
I'm good. So this item is the approval of the contract for design services for the CJC project. I know we have discussed this at other stages of the project thus far, but this is the actual proposal from the architects to go into contract for design services. I've been very impressed, and I'm very grateful to Heber Slabbert of AJC Architects. This is a project that he believes in and is really behind the mission of it. It's something that he's excited to be able to be a part of, and he has been excellent in trying to find the most cost-effective options for us through design services, not only with AJC Architects, but with a lot of the consultants that they use. He said that this fee represents about a 40% discount over what it would normally be for a project of this type. So, yeah. Any questions for me?
I don't have questions. I just kind of want to say it's nice how it's moving along. You got the property that it passed the planning and zoning blending.
Yes, yep. Blending City approved the
that's
rezone.
good. And so, yeah, anyway, anybody, any question or comments, or are we ready to make a motion?
Motion to approve?
I will second that.
All in favor say aye.
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 Thank you so
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much for all you do, and
You're welcome.
Thanks, Sam. Okay, item 16, we have consideration and approval of the landfill power project deposit with Rocky Mountain Power. This one is also with Sam.
I'm so happy to see this on here.
Yeah, this is a project that has
been waiting for
been
years.
started several times. So we are making some significant progress. I appreciate Commissioner Mon. It's through some of her contacts that we've kind of been able to get this project pushed along. So this particular item is for approval to pay an invoice for $35,000, and this is a deposit for the project. This will be applied to the total cost of the project, and this is to allow them to order one of the transformers that will be needed for the project. Total project cost, we don't have a final number on it, but between the cost of the project on Rocky Mountain Power's end, plus the work that will need to be done on our side of the new service to tie in all of the existing facilities, we're going to be somewhere in the $380,000 to $390,000 range. Speaking with Jed Tate, the director down there at the landfill, he says that he has about $710,000 in his fund that would be available to
In savings.
Yes, in his
That's
savings
good.
to.
You know, it's interesting how you can be surrounded by power lines. And when I first started campaigning, I went and visited them. There was this little house, and I kidding, people were working like this on top of each other in that little place, and look what happened in a short period of time. They have this beautiful building, now they can have power. And so it's nice when our departments make money and they can come and ask and we can say, yeah, because they have the money. And so that is, it's going to be a good thing for them to have.
Yep.
They don't have to be worried about batteries and other things and so.
Yeah, and there are some other programs that they're trying to put in place down there for recycling and other things that will require some equipment that we won't be able to run off of the solar and generators. So this is a necessary step in order to
So we have
support their future operations.
we have a motion.
Sure, I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Okay.
Thanks, Sam.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay.
Okay, the next one here is consideration and approval of a resolution of the San Juan County Board of Commissioners approving the reclassification of eligible firefighter employees into the appropriate Utah retirement system retirement lane. We have Tranner Sharp, our HR director, to give us the presentation changes on here.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. I am here on behalf of the fire department for the county and cleaning up some of this old URS stuff. Like last month, we got the approval for the emergency service lane change, and this change will be the exact same as that one. We are just adjusting them into the appropriate URS lane that they should be in. So just looking for your vote of approval.
We have a motion.
Sure, I make a motion to approve.
I will second the motion to approve.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Thank you, Commissioners.
You sat long and that was the shortest.
Yeah,
Appreciate it.
I see the list is the left. We'll be here till 5 and I need to leave. I don't know. I have a.
So item 18, we have consideration and approval to change signature approval to the end date of the amended and restated memorandum of understanding between Utah State University Preschool Development Grant and San Juan County from December 31st, 2025 to August 30th, 2025. Mike, this is you. So we have Mike here, our interim public health director that's leading the charge.
Thank you.
These are
Good
good
afternoon.
because they're changing for the better. I mean, they're giving you more money in every program. So
Yeah, that's great. Now we just need people to do
we'll
the
be
work.
happy to approve these things because they're not taking money away; they're giving you more. So.
And that was for September 30th instead of
Oh,
August. Sorry about
did
that.
I write that wrong or?
Yeah.
I
Any
Yeah.
is that
motions?
the one?
Culture and diversity.
Oh, we do have one that has a wrong date, but it's not this one, but it's only on your summary. It's not in the contract. Your contract
Okay.
date was correct.
Okay.
That's what I noticed. So unless someone else saw something
yeah.
other
Do
different
we
dates.
have a motion to
Yeah.
approve this one? Anything for children is good.
Yeah, and the reason why we're wanting to change the end date is because we
Yeah.
just met the
Yeah, I have read
expectations.
those, and I think everybody read those. So, we have a motion.
Motion to approve.
Any in favor, say aye.
I'll second the motion. Sorry.
Oh, sorry.
Okay, now you're ready.
I thought you were like this with your hand.
Oh, I
so
think I
thought-
have to say it though. So
anyway, all in favor, say aye.
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 Okay, the next one, consideration and approval of San Juan County Public Health Department's Women and Infant and Children Program contract between San Juan County and the State of Utah Department of Health and Human Services. This is amendment number 3.
Yeah, so commissioners, this amendment is just to increase the funding
Yeah,
for this next project year.
For what?
Um,
Yeah, one of the good programs. That's a really good program.
It's
We
great.
have a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Do we have a second? All in favor, say aye.
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 Okay, this next one here is let me find it. Consideration and approval of the Public Health Emergency and Healthcare Preparedness Programs contract with Utah Department of Health and Human Services in San Juan County for fiscal year 2024 through 2028. Amendment number 2.
This one is amending the contract by adding funds that
Okay.
were just delayed.
All of this kind of similar, so if we are going too fast, would you slow me down?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so we have a motion to approve as this was read and is written.
So motion to approve.
A second. All in favor, say aye.
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 The motion passes.
Okay, this next one, consideration and approval of the 2025 Preventative Health and Human Services Block Grant Contract with the Utah Department of Health and Human Services in San Juan County.
Similar.
Similar.
Okay.
Well, it's a new contract, but
Okay.
yes, it's starting over again.
Okay. So any motion, and we have
Same work.
a motion.
Motion to approve.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Okay, the next one on here is consideration and approval of the 2025 Preventative Health and Human Services Block Grant Contract with the Department of Health and Human Services in San Juan County.
Was that the one you just read?
So did we just
Number
do that one?
22
Yes.
we're
Oh,
on.
sorry.
Oh, the
My checks and balances broke. So consideration and approval of San Juan County Health Department STD Disease Intervention Service 2019 contract between the county and the state of Utah Health Department of Human Services, amendment number 10.
So this is another ongoing grant.
Yes, ongoing.
Okay.
this is a continuation.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Since 2019, looks
Okay.
like. Anyway,
it's what they call a forever contract,
Okay.
and they
Yeah.
decided in 2019 to make it a forever.
Oh, okay.
until we don't send reports and then it ends.
Right.
Anyway, so we have a motion.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Number 23, it is.
I think that one was the one where you caught the dates that were different.
I believe.
Staff report had
No, I think it's this next one.
October to February, and then
Yeah, that's
the contract
2026.
was up until May 2025.
Yeah.
And I thought that I had made a date mistake somewhere in there, but I couldn't find it after.
Well, you have a lot of contracts.
Yes. Okay, let me find this next one. So we're on 23, consideration and approval of San Juan Health Department Community and Clinical Interventions contract between the county and Department of Health and Human Services, amendment number 5.
So, we have a motion for 23.
Motion.
I will second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Aye, and so the motion passes. Number 24, I guess.
Okay, 24 is consideration and approval of the Children with Special Health Care Needs Care Coordination Agreement between the county and the state of Utah Department of Health and Human Services, amendment number 3.
Okay, we have a motion.
Motion to approve.
Have a second.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Aye, the motion passes. Number 25.
Okay, 25 is consideration and approval of the Maternal and Child Health Services Block Grant Contract between the county and Department of Health and Human Services. This is a new contract.
We have a motion.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Okay, let me see here.
That's the one right there. See that date? Oh, you just missed it. Let's go.
one?
No, that was the date on the other one, but it was fine. Not there.
Yeah. Okay,
This one's good.
consideration and approval of an outreach
Oh, 90,
education agreement
30. Yeah.
between the University of Utah on behalf of its Utah Poison Control Center in San Juan County.
We have a motion.
Motion to approve.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Aye, the motion passes.
Okay, item number 27 is consideration and approval of
Thank you.
the thanks, Mike. Thank you fast.
Bye,
So-
thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Bye.
Consideration and approval of the 2026 Utah Rural County Grant Contract between San Juan County and the State of Utah Governor's Office of Economic Opportunity, Center for Rural Development. Talia is currently in attendance with the community development block grant meeting, which is a mandatory required if we're
Yeah.
going to apply. So she is over there and wasn't able to attend. And
So that was what
So-
Rosa was trying to say, that somebody was going to attend because she wasn't there. And so I was confused. I thought she was attending.
Oh,
I mean,
So-
she got confused too, so we were confused. Anyway,
several commission meetings ago, she came in and brought to you kind of the budget on her application, and it was spelled out in here. The staff report and the contract mirror that initial language of where we're going to be tucking the $200,000 this year, and so that kind of summarizes what is in her staff.
and it's a good grant, and I think was one of the hardest things when you had to. Last year we had over 1 million requests, and so trying to figure out to say no to people. Thank you. We'll see ya. Anyway, it goes for lots of good things, and she had lots of in her presentation. She had lots of good ideas there, and I think I feel privileged to work with her and the project. So we have a motion to approve.
motion to approve.
Any second?
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 The motion passes.
Okay, and this final item on your agenda for the business action items is consideration and approval of the revised contract with Kilgore Companies LLC, DBA LeGrand Johnson for the taxi lane and rehabilitation to the airport access road project. This one here, we had the wrong amount on here, and the feds wanted to see the total amount for all of the projects that we were doing for the taxi lane and that road coming into it. You had approved it prior to this. It was just at a different amount. Last time we presented $1,982,222, but the actual total amount is $2,355,469. Just as a reminder on here, the county's, the portion that the FAA doesn't cover is 10%, of which 5% the state covers, 5% for the county, and so we're still within the budget. We just had the wrong amount. That was substantial enough to bring it back to the commission to make sure we had the right amount on the contract.
So do we have a motion?
Motion to approve with amended and correct amount.
I'll second it.
All in favor, say aye.
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 There was one of those contracts, they had Commissioner Harvey as the chair, so I had it in my notes.
You'll have to look at that. We had I had Rosa go through and look
Yeah,
on the
when I
states
go
one.
to sign it, then she'll
Okay.
will take care of that. So what we do next, commission reports.
Yes, that is commission reports is your next agenda item.
Do you want to go first? You wanna go first?
Sure. I feel like we haven't met forever. So I'll just highlight a couple of the things. I did go to the Canyon Country Partnership meeting, and a couple of the things that they highlighted, especially with the shutdown, is what are we doing and how do we protect, the assets that we have within our county, like our petroglyphs and those particular things. And my husband actually had a patient that came in, and someone had vandalized the public restroom at one of our campgrounds, and it was the message was very political. And I also had a conversation with, and it was on the Forest Service, so I had a conversation with Mr. Cortez, who is our director down here with Forest Service, and everyone's furloughed, so he's in his office by himself, but he went up and actually had to grind the message off. And so even though it was on Forest Service ground, it leaves concern that if that's happening, and it's not from local people, it's people that are coming in, and what else is being protected. But the Historical Society with the state of Utah, they're using volunteers, and I'm sure you've seen it, for boots on the ground and protecting a lot of those sites during this shutdown, which I was very appreciative of because we have so many within our county. And so we had quite a conversation about that. another, and just to be aware and to see and report things that are happening. Another thing is Allison Sparks, who is our tourism, over the Office of Tourism, had a reverse tour, and the people from India came here that are, instead of them going to a conference or her going there, then they brought a group here. And so I know that Mac was able to meet them the night before for dinner at Duke's down in Bluff. And then I actually went down the next day with them. And the only monsoonal rain we've had all year was during their tour. And they just kept saying there's so much rain. And I said, no, you don't understand where we really live. It's so dry. But there was some, and then she followed up with an email, which I thought was really good. But it was very interesting. Took their cards, great people, and I think that's a market that we're tapping into, which will be beneficial for our county. And then finally, just the one Utah Summit that I attended, that Commissioner Stubbs attended also, and just some great things. And I think it's more of a networking conference that really benefits us in getting to know the people that we need for resources for our county. So that's kind of my update.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Sorry.
No, it's okay.
That's some good rice. Sorry.
I haven't had no food since just today. So I stay here watching.
Well, I'll try and be quick, Madam Chair.
No, it's okay. No, I just.
Let's see. I can start with perhaps elaborating on Chester Johnson, who came in this morning from our community in Montezuma Creek and Aneth. As you've all have heard from Chester, his family had been devastated by the tornado that had come through a few weeks ago. And I think in my meeting with Anna Chapter 2 days ago on a Sunday, Anna Chapter had convened on the 19th, and I came in a little late, but in time for my report. At the time, the community amended the agenda to talk about a way to work on an emergency response plan. And so I shared with the community some of the bumps that the county had experienced with that public emergency notice that had gone out after. And I shared with the community that Mac actually was calling me, and I believe that Tammy Gallegos had been very concerned about the community down in our area, in so much that she was making frantic phone calls with the tribe to try and coordinate kind of like an emergency alarm of sorts. And I think it's been a challenge for Tammy, and you might contribute with this conversation, Mac, if you think you have some additional thoughts. But the greatest challenge, I think, is the jurisdiction. From my understanding, that the county has to kind of take a step back, and the tribe is ultimately the authority in handling like emergency alarms and kind of like the public notice things. But it's not sound for that tornado experience. And so there needs to be changes to improve that coordination. And so one of the thoughts that the community proposed was perhaps it might be a discussion point for the Navajo Nation to allow the county to take that jurisdiction, and at least the piece about public notification and at least as getting the weather alert system coordinated countywide and being able to send out an emergency notification. I tried to share with the community the application that I downloaded from our county website, the My Alerts application. And it works for me personally because it gives you heads up wherever you're traveling because it tracks your location. And if there's ever a weather emergency, like a severe storm, like flooding, flash floods, I received those on my phone. and it didn't really work during the tornado until afterwards, I think. And maybe it's because of the coordination as well. But right after Mac and I talked on the day of the tornado, that's when the phone started finally ringing afterwards. And I think, and a lot of the community members were saying, yeah, we finally getting the alerts, but it's done now, you know. And so I think the biggest ask is support in coordinating that, to strengthening that. And I'll be working with the chapters to talk about perhaps setting up a better coordination with the tribe. And at least if we can have the authority to sound the alarm, that allows, and we can, of course, when we first sound the alarm, also sound the alarm with the nation, so then they can respond, something in that sense. But at least that we have the authorization to sound the alarm and to push out those emergency notification in advance, and coordinating with the weather system, and also the public notice about use the county website to download the My Alerts app because it's useful, and encouraging that through all the chapters. I think that would strengthen a lot of our preparedness in the community. Of course, we're rural, but I think pushing out these emergency notifications by cell phone is far more effective because the volume of notice is much greater. So that was a piece of the conversation, and I think that's part of what Chester Johnson, and by clan relation, we call each other grandfather because that's how we're related by clan. And so that was part of his ask too. And so I'm just adding to that request to make it a little more clear for us to think about. In the interim, I will be going among the chapters to collect supporting resolutions for the county to approach the Navajo Nation and coordinating a better emergency notification system for the community. And ultimately, our focus is on the safety of our citizens. And so I think that's upcoming. There's work to be done, probably coordinating with getting all the resolutions together and coming back here with those and asking for the county to approve a letter and a strategy to approach the nation and making that happen. So that's the first report I wanted to share. The second item is more of maybe just awareness. The community is grateful for the highway construction. Very grateful. I mean, the roads that had never been maintained for quite some time are now brand new and really, really amazing to drive on. But then, of course, there's some things that are different with this specific construction that I wasn't aware of too until it hit me personally. One, for instance, is they're paving the road and so the surface thickness is probably 6 inches approximately, and then there's the dirt ground. So when you go to get on the road, and I drive a Ford Focus with a 6-inch clearing, so when I try to go on the highway, I scrape my bottom. And everyone's experiencing that, and they've been asking me why is that so? Are they going to allow that 6-inch height to flatten so it can accommodate
The shoulder part.
the driving onto piece? And so I explained I don't know. That's a state route, a state project. And so that was one just share that the community had expressed, is the pavement is really thick, and when you're driving a dirt road and you're trying to get on, and you have a car, it's gonna be tricky. It's hard right now as is. So I'm not sure how we can share that with the road department. So they might.
Is that UDOT?
Maybe it's UDOT or the
I think we have
contractor.
Commissioner Adams and the board. Maybe we can.
Well, one other thing is we're working with UDOT right now, Grand County and I, on the Mud Springs and that whole corridor. So we have a meeting, I think on the 3rd, about where that. So Jared should be on that call. So we could ask him, because he did bring that up about, hey, we're doing that project down there. He brought that actually up. It was Dan that brought it up at the Canyon Country Partnership and how they were happy about the road. So
yeah,
I mean, you could contact him, or Matt could contact him, but I will be speaking with them and could put that plug in there as well.
I would appreciate that, and I think that's just a collective community request, because the height of that pavement is 6 inches, and it's a climb.
But they don't realize that you don't see the roads coming this way. You know, the highway's going this way. You have people coming out of nowhere, to enter. It's not like between here and Green River, we don't have that situation.
Right. So that's the first awareness that was presented to me. I wasn't really thinking it was an all across the board kind of issue, but it sounds like it is. The other is there's questions about some installation of not coverts. What are they called? Cattle guards. It was from the Johnson family, the family who were impacted by the tornado. They were asking, do we get a cattle guard because everyone else is getting a cattle guard? Who do we go to ask for one? Because it would sure help with the cattle containment was the other question. And so I'm not sure how that is all applicable and what the process is. But that was from the family, is would we be able to include our, when you exit the highway into the road, put a cattle guard there, was the request. And again, if you're familiar with coming down McCracken Mesa and you're going down the windy road, I think some community members are saying, is there a way we can mark the road better to make people who aren't familiar with their roads, that the curves are very sharp? Because I think there was a mother and a daughter that passed because they weren't familiar with the road and they overcorrected or something,
Especially after dark, you can't see.
Yeah, and hit the rock that was there and were killed from that. But at least for safety purposes, putting some signage to warn anyone, sharp curves, please slow down, and the curve is steep or something like that.
Yeah, it's just the asphalt, that transition,
Yeah.
the approach.
And and I know that a lot of the 18 wheelers go through there too. And and most of the accidents, I'm sure, are from people who aren't familiar with the road. But so that's the other request is let's put some better signage, not only for community, but for people who aren't of the community that are not familiar with the sharp curves going down into the Montezuma Creek Valley. And then finally, Herman Farley, chapter president, called me this morning, and he was excited about the fact that the nation had approved the intergovernmental or the contract for road maintenance, and the money that was paid to the county for that specific contract. Herman is informed me that he's calling a meeting this coming Monday, and you and I should get that email, Mac. And he's bringing BIA and NDOT to the table, and the focus is to address the Bureau of Indian Affairs roads. And I know with our current agreement with Navajo Nation, there are roads that are only specific to bus routes, and the roads are dirt roads. What his focus is on is also negotiating with BIA, allowing the county to go into an intergovernmental agreement so that the nation can draw down from the Bureau of Indian Affairs, allowing the county to also do maintenance on the BIA roads that are there. And he outlined some of the roads that really need attention that are BIA roads, but no one has the equipment or the funding or the labor, the manpower, the skilled worker to do it. And so he's saying, I don't see why we can convince through NDOT to have BIA establish a road agreement specific to BIA roads with the county. So that's I think my highlight. If you can leave Monday open, it sounds like the meeting's going to be down in Bonito. It's where we met NDOT one time as well. I think it was just NDOT. We thought BIA was going to be there.
Okay.
So it's down in their offices at that NDOT building. But we should have a date and a time. And I think the focus with that meeting is going to be let's negotiate with BIA on getting the county funding to also maintain BIA roads outside of the NDOT bus route maintenance agreement. So that's my report, Madam Chair. You should have taken a few bites while I was yapping.
No, I can't think and eat at the same time.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. I think one of the hardest thing, and I don't know how to say this, we are talking about two different nations, and as a commissioners, we have a responsibility without the authority, and there's lots of things that are going on right now. And one of the things is they asked if we can take over the roads. I was in Navajo Mountain last time I was there for the last chapter meeting. They brought a few issues, especially I don't know if chance I did ask him to figure a little bit more about the House Bill 300. I don't know if you can look into that. It's going to affect a lot of the people in the reservation, especially in that area like Navajo Mountain, because their chapter is in Arizona. The chapter house is in Arizona, but they serve both sides of the chapter. And so they don't, all the mail has a Arizona zip code. The driver's license have an Arizona zip code. And so that's one way that's gonna affect. They need kind of like a physical address, and also the people are asking for a physical address because now my students are talking to my students. They're coming back. They have worked outside as educators. They're coming back to the county, and they want the Amazon package to come, and they had to go to Cortez or Farmington to pick them up. That doesn't make sense. Or they're being left in the middle of nowhere, and they just want a physical address where they can be able to have that. And so that's something that we had to figure out. When I talked to UAC about this one bill, there's a bill that UAC did not support, and it feels like probably maybe anyway, I won't quote everything they say, but it's a concern there. And another thing that for instance, at the college are using blending, and I was taught, the person that does recruiting in charge of the scholarship, he said that the students that come in from Navajo Mountain cannot qualify to the free tuition that we offer in blending, and the reason being because of the zip code. And I did this briefly, when Phil Lyman was in the legislature. I talked to him about that. I did talk to then Congressman John Curtis. I talked to him about that issue. There, having Navajo Mountain have that issue with the zip code, and us on the north, we have the issue with the zip code there. When somebody comes to register their car, because they have a zip code from Grand County, our money goes to Grand County. And so it's another issue we have to figure out how we can work with that. And we talk about phone and the reservation, and I noticed that lots of people, they don't have a regular phone service. They just buy prepaid phones. So they do not give it to anybody, and they only use it like twice a week, because once you use it, then you don't give the number to anybody, because when they call you, then they start eating up the time. And because of that, it'd be really hard to send message for them to get emergency. We were traveling through the reservation. We stopped and we were in a hotel there at the reservation, and the news from Arizona was talking about a tornado in the reservation. We had no idea what the tornado was. There was no service as we going through, even though we had a phone that could have worked. There was no service. So, and they were talking about that time multiple tornadoes. And as we traveled to the reservation, it was kind of scary because you didn't know which way it's coming from. And so, and I can see how that would be terrifying for them to have that. And I don't know, there's so many needs and so many ways that we can work together. It's just being reminded that we are working with a different nation, and it takes respect, and it takes, in a way, a certain amount of, I don't know how to say it, but I grew up in Argentina. My foster family, they were my foster family for 5 years. They were Americans. Our church organization was half American, half Argentine, and they couldn't see things both the same way. And they used to tell things, well, if you could do this because the Argentines just kept talking like I talked. They just talk, and we had to close the meeting. The Americans were ready to go home, and they said this would never happen in the United States. Why? I said, because you have multiple words. Well, how can you do that? Well, we didn't have multiple words. So it's just it's a form of giving them the opportunity, like sometime when you want to help them, they have to evolve, and we're giving them lots of opportunities for them to do that. The county had, it's just trying to figure out how we can make it work. How can we, and I know I've been working with them with the senior centers, and trying to figure out, okay, when they're trying to, especially with chapter meetings, you have to have a quorum, and the quorum is not the leadership. The quorum is the people, and you have to have so many numbers to pass something, and it's sometimes learning to sit there and be patient and being listening to another language. I get it better. I know when they're saying, certain things, but it's still not. So sometimes it's not for me, it's not being upset, kind of frustration toward the people or anybody like that. To me, it's being the patient. It's just being the patient, to tell the patient to figure out for themselves, to be able to learn, to be able to. And I see lots of change. I mean, I have worked with the people from that area for over probably about, it can probably be about 50 years, I don't know, but and seeing them become educated, seeing them now they have a second and third generation of education, and they're, little by little they'll be there, and so having that patience, but they also feeling responsible for Mr. Johnson, and he think if I had to go through the steps, I won't be alive by the time the process takes place, but that's how the Navajo Nation system is, and anyway, so I worry about the voting situation for them. And another thing that you mentioned about cattle guard. So one of the questions I had was the Navajo Nation, because as I'm traveling, I see lots of horses, beautiful horses, and all this stuff. I thought, wow, they're in the business of raising horses and cattle. And so I get in touch to the grazing person while we're waiting for us to have a quorum so we can start the meeting in Navajo Mountain. I asked, wow, so now they're, raising horses. And no, they have a program, it's a federal program, where they're gathering the wild horses and the cattle that have not been branded, and they bring it to the reservation. And what's happening is they are kind of eating. There's hardly, right now probably will have more grass with the rain. There's hardly any eating area for the sheep or whatever they have. The water is almost forbidden for them to go get water for a horse. And so it's got put a burden on the people, and what they're doing is trying to gather those horses to an area where they can have and that's the reason they're more close to the road. They're selling them or whatever, but they have something that probably somebody thought was a blessing for them. It have become a burden because they don't have they feel sorry for the horses, and they cannot feed them. And this person said, if you go into the reservation, I don't know if you saw that, but there's carcass of those horses and the cattle. So that is a good intention in not understanding the culture, not understanding the people's situation. And so I think that's where we can probably, build a bridge between trying to explain. Lots of times people, when they go to the reservation, they have ideas that they can bring this and this and this and that, and we can do this. And from day one, I've been inviting people to come to the county, because I think we go to them, but they also need to come and see what the reality is. And I brought some group, they have proposals already to have them sign, ready to go sign. We got to explain it takes, you can't just get signature right now. You have to go through the process. Not only that, you have to build that trust. You have to know that you're coming there for, not just for this, but, and so anyway, another thing that, so basically, as I work with chapters, I can see the possibilities for them, and I think the road is a big issue. That's the one I get phone calls. And I went through there when it snowed. I get phone calls from down south about worrying about how to get out and things like that, and trying to figure out who is responsible for what road. But as far as things I have been working on some grants. I got the opportunity to get one from the Larry H. Miller, and I'm gonna this grant it was for for the city blending, and there's some different projects I have going in that, but one of the things that we're gonna do on December 1st, we're gonna have a coming home for Christmas or something like that to help our businesses. We are the most popular football team fans of the football team. So every time there's a game, the whole town leaves. They go to those games, and when you go to this game, either you spend the last dollars you have to go, or you use all the leftover dollars someplace else. So the business, even though they support them, it's just dead. I mean, during those weekends, the team is gone there. So we're trying to do a shop at home type of thing. We're gonna have, we trying to promote local. It's just for businesses. They make their own products, and we're gonna have a place to sell it, and then we're gonna have multiple things going on, and so that's one of the things that I'm working on that, and so I'll just leave it at that because we need to eat. So we need to go to a closed meeting, or just making a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
So I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Oh,
I'll second with the requirement to eat after we adjourn.
all in favor say aye.
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 Well, I guess we